Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Shut up and read. Today I'll be doing part 2 of my book haul. Again, I have about 20-ish books to share with you guys, so let's just get right into it. So the first stack of books that I'm going to share with you guys in this video is from Book Outlet. So the first book is The Dazzling Heights by Katherine McGee. This is book 2 of the 1004 trilogy. I got the first book about a month ago, maybe even 2 months ago. I'll link that book haul video for you guys to check out. I'm not going to go too much into this book because this is book 2 of the trilogy, but it is set in the future. It is a futuristic novel that is set in Manhattan, specifically in year 2118, and it follows these 5 teenagers, and there is this 1004 story, hence the title of the series, which is the 1004 trilogy. Honestly, I'm pretty excited for it, and yeah, we'll see how this goes. I think originally I wasn't planning on getting this book because I want to just first see if I like the first book, but then this was on sale in Book Outlet, and again, like, hardcovers on sale in Book Outlet is $5 or something, and I was like, this is too good of a deal to pass up, so I might as well, if I like it, then I have the second book to go right into. Then the next book that I got from Book Outlet is Zodiac by Romina Russell. Honestly, I have been eyeing this series for quite some time now. There's currently 4 books, I believe, that is out already for this series. I don't know if that's the last book or if there's more books coming out after that. I'm really not good with figuring this out until I actually dive into this book. So this book is a sci-fi fantasy novel. It's about a galaxy where your zodiac sign literally determines where your home is, and this one young guardian of Cancer, her name is Ro. She must find a way to unite the houses together before this ancient evil destroys them all. Honestly, I'm just very intrigued by the fact that your zodiac sign will literally determine your house. I'm a Virgo, so I'm curious to see how Virgos are depicted and the planet of Virgos, I guess, because that just sounds very intriguing to me. So anyways, I am very excited for this book. This book is amazing, that I cannot wait to pick up the rest of the books. The next book that I got from Book Outlet is Akata Warrior by Nnedi Okorafor. Really hoping I'm pronouncing that name correctly. I just know her first name is not pronounced Needy, but Nnedi. Last name, it's a toss-up, to be honest. So many reasons as to why I want to pick this book. One, it is set in Nigeria, which I feel like there's not that many books about, so I'm trying to diversify my books a little bit more. And 2, there is fantasy and magic involved, which I find very appealing. As you guys all know, I am such a big sucker for fantasy novels, so because of these 2, I am very excited for it. Also, another thing that I find quite intriguing is the fact that the girl, her name is Sunny, she's American born, a Nigerian girl. She lives in Nigeria now, and she's actually an albino, so I don't know, just something about that just seems very, very interesting to me, and I don't see that very often in YA literature, so I am very excited for this one. The next book that I got is Ruined by Amy Tantara. Honestly, I haven't heard too much about this book, but this book just seems really interesting to me. It is about a girl called Emelina Flores who has nothing, and her homeland is called Ruina, and which I think is very interesting, hence the name Ruined, because the people there who live in this country, or her homeland, whatever, is called Ruined. But anyways, her homeland is ravaged by war, and now she has absolutely nothing. Her sister Olivia was kidnapped and her parents were brutally murdered, and because she now has nothing, it means that she also has nothing left to lose. Driven by revenge and hopes of finding her sister Olivia, she goes onto this crazy mission into the enemy territory called Lyra. And somehow in this crazy plan of hers, she ends up deceiving and marrying the Prince Casimir, who is next in line to take Lyra's throne. And so much stuff goes on. I'm assuming there's love that goes on as well. There's always love in these type of books. So anyway, this book just sounds very intriguing to me, and I'm very curious to see if she will succeed in finding her sister, how she became actually married to Prince Casimir, like what is this plan of hers, etc. So we shall see. Then the last few books that I got from Book Outlet is part of a series. I only got books 1 through 4. The 5th book I didn't see it on there, so I didn't grab it, but I'm really excited for these books. The series is called The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner, and honestly, I've heard such good things about these books. They have such high praise. They're also standalones, I believe, so you can technically start anywhere, but a lot of people recommend that you start from The Thief or The Queen of Atolia, which is books 1 and 2 of the series. But I am the type of person who needs to read things in order, so I'm going to start from book 1. I have to read things either in chronological order or based on, you know, if it's like a book 1 of a series. It really doesn't matter that much to me as long as it's in some sort of order. But anyways, in terms of the first book, it follows a guy called Jen, who is a thief, and he basically can steal anything. At least that's what he brags about, until he gets thrown into prison. And then one day he is invited to join a quest to steal this legendary item, and he is at no position to refuse. So I'm really excited for this book. I believe there might even be some magic slash fantasy. There's also a lot of dangerous journeys, battles, intrigue, passion, revenge, etc. And this book just sounds, or the series really, just sounds absolutely fascinating, and I cannot wait to pick these up. The next book that I got is A City of Lies by Sam Hawke. This was the pick for last month, I believe, for one of the book clubs, and I didn't pick it up because I'm really bad. I'm like so good sometimes, but sometimes I'm just so bad with book club picks. Like I feel like I can read it, and then yeah, things happen and I don't pick it up. But anyways, this book sounded absolutely fascinating to me. So one of the reasons why this book just grabbed my attention is this back here. It says, if the first line doesn't make you buy this book, you should turn in your fantasy lover's badge. And the first line is, I was 7 years old the first time my uncle poisoned me. How interesting is that? But anyways, this book follows a guy called Jovan, who is a quiet, forgettable friend of the Chancellor's heir, and he's basically been raised his entire life to be like a poison taster, which means that he is basically a master of poisons and chemicals, and he's sworn to protect the Chancellor's family from any assassination attempts, etc. And then one day the Chancellor succumbs to this mysterious poison, and now he and his sister need to protect the heir at all costs. And I don't know, this book just sounds really, really good to me, and cannot wait to pick this one up. The next few books that I got is a trilogy. I discussed these books already in my K-pop book tag video, so I will link you guys above in case you want to check out that book tag video that I did. But basically the series is His Fair Assassins Trilogy by Robin Lefevers. And the reason why I decided to pick up these books, not just because it's interesting, but also because the covers, they did a remake on the covers, and the covers look absolutely gorgeous. I'm so excited for it. And there's also a spin-off series called Courting Darkness, I want to say. I don't know if it's a duology. I think it's a duology. I'm pretty sure it's a duology. Might be a trilogy, but 99% sure it's a duology. But basically the series follow a girl called Ismay who escapes from this arranged marriage to a convent that apparently trains assassins. How interesting is that? Going to a convent, and it's not just a regular convent, it's a convent that trains you in the art of assassination. So that's what happens to her. And now her latest assignment takes her to the high courts of Brittany, where there is a lot of politics and treason and intrigue going on, and obviously there's love because, you know, why, there's always love involved in here somehow. So anyways, I'm extremely excited for these books. The next book that I got, I'm not actually sure where I got this book from, but it showed up on my door, and yeah, we'll see how this one goes. The book is called The Red Ribbon by Lucy Adlington. All I know about this book, honestly, is that it is a YA novel about the Holocaust. It follows a girl called Ella who somehow ends up becoming a seamstress in a way for stitching the couture dresses for female SS officers and the wives of the camp's Nazi overseers. Basically clients who have power over life and death. Other than that, I really don't know what this book is about, but it is very intriguing to me. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. The next book that I got is part of Booksmark's Young Adult Fall Reading Challenge tour, and that book is called The Blue Witch by Elaine Adams. Honestly, I haven't heard too much about this book until I received it. It is a middle grade book, and I know it follows a girl called Abigail whose goal in life is to become a great witch, except for the fact that her powers have not come in yet. And then something happens and she manages to unlock her powers, except for the fact that it's nothing like any of the other witchlings in her academy. So now her magical abilities are tested in ways she's never expected, and yeah, this book just sounds like it'll be a really fun read, to be honest. Perfect for October. Unfortunately, I didn't read this in October, but I did receive it in October. So anyways, thank you so much for sending this book to me. Then the next 3 books that I got were actually from my roommates. She works at a poetry magazine, and they get a lot of books from different publishers, and I had asked her if there were any great books for me to pick up, and she sent me a bunch of stuff, and I managed to pick 3 of them that I found very interesting. The first one is The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. I actually saw this book at Book Expo, and I was very interested in picking this up. Unfortunately, they ran out by that time and they didn't have any more availabilities, so I'm glad that I managed to grab a copy now. So this book is a historical fiction. It is a mystery. It's set in 1862. Some things happened that summer. A woman is killed and another disappears, and the truth of what really happened began to slip through time. So this is a book that goes into discussion in terms of what really happened that summer. So honestly, I've heard great things about this book and definitely can't wait to pick this one up soon. The next book that I got from my roommate is The Winter Soldier by Danielle Mason. Honestly, this title just really struck out to me because of, hello, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. So I'm very excited about this one. This is a historical fiction that is set during World War I, specifically in Vienna in 1914. It follows a guy called Lucius, who's a 22-year-old medical student. He ends up going into the battlefield, and for some bizarre reasons, he ends up being the only doctor-ish person in that location. So now he's forced to pick up the surgeon's scalpel even though he's never done so before. Again, he was only a medical student prior to this, so he doesn't really have any experience until now. And then one day this unconscious soldier is brought in and his uniform is stuffed with strange drawings. He seems beyond rescue until Lucius makes his fateful decision that will ultimately change the lives of doctor, patient, and nurse forever. So I'm very intrigued by this and we'll see how this goes. Then the last book that I got from my roommate is The Collector's Apprentice by B.A. Shapiro. This is also another historical fiction. It's set in 1922. It follows a 19-year-old girl called Pauline Mertens who finds herself in Paris, broke, disowned, and alone. At this point, everyone believes that she stole millions in a sophisticated con game perpetrated by her then fiance George Everard, and to protect herself from the law and the wrath of everyone around her, she assumes this new identity called Vivian Gregsby. And she now sets out to recover her father's art collection, prove her innocence, and exact revenge on George. So, I don't know, this book just sounds really interesting. It's also a very small book. I thought this book would be a lot longer, but this book just sounds very intriguing to me. Then the next book that I got is actually a duplicate. I got the ARC version during Book Expo, and somehow I managed to receive a UK version of this book, and this book is called The Light Between the Worlds by Laura Weymouth. Honestly, I'm very excited for this book. This cover actually looks really pretty. I like this cover a lot more than the ARC version, which is also the US version, I believe. But basically, this is inspired or heavily inspired by Narnia, and I love Narnia growing up, so I'm already very intrigued by this one. The next book that I got is one that I'm extremely excited for because I just finished reading the entire series of her previous series, and this book is called A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This is another high fantasy novel, but I believe this is dubbed as new adult because I believe I've heard that there are a lot of steamy sex scenes in it, and I'm actually really excited for those. Again, high fantasy, there's fairies, most likely magic, steamy sex scenes. Yeah, this book should be really good. Then the next few books that I got was actually because of a Barnes and Noble promotion that they were doing. I think it was like 3 books for $30, and then they also had a deal at the same time they can use, which was $10 off 60. So basically it meant that you get 7 books for 60 bucks, which I thought was a steal for Barnes & Noble. So anyways, the first book that I got is The Shadows of What Was Lost by James Islington. This is book 1 of the Licanius trilogy. Honestly, I don't really know too much about this book, but I've seen this book around a few times, and this book sounds really interesting. Again, it is an epic high fantasy novel, and we all know that I'm all about that right now. So a lot of my books, I would say 90% of the books right now that I'm picking up are fantasy. The other 10 are historical fiction, contemporary, etc. But in terms of what this book is about, it says that it's been 20 years since the godlike augurs were overthrown and killed, and the ones who once served them, the gifted, were only spared because they were able to accept the rebellion's 4 tenets, which vastly limited their powers. And then one day, Davian, I'm assuming is the main guy, and then one day he discovers that he actually wields the forbidden power of the augurs, and basically sets off a chain of motions and events after that. And I don't know, I've heard really good things about this book, so we will see how this goes. I only got book 1 because I want to just see if I like the first one instead of getting all of them, because they're honestly quite massive and I need space in my New York tiny apartment. The next book that I got is one that I'm extremely excited for. When this book first came out, everyone was literally talking about this. I saw this all over social media, and I was a little surprised that this was available under the paperbacks because I thought this book literally just came out this past year. So I thought usually for books, you have to wait another year for the paperback to come out. But I guess for some reason this one was already in paperback, or it was only in paperback. I have no idea, to be honest, but I was excited to see this book listed as one of the books that you can get for this deal. And this book is called Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse, or Roanhorse. So this book sounds really interesting to me. It's basically kind of reminds me of the fact, like, Noah and the Ark, where most of the world has drowned due to this climate apocalypse, and then obviously it veers off from that because it is very much a fantasy book, because suddenly Dinata, don't really know the name of it, has been reborn. I guess they are some supernatural creatures, because now gods and heroes of legend walk the earth, but as do monsters. And then this book follows a girl called Maggie, who is a Dinata monster hunter, basically a supernaturally gifted killer. And one day she gets enlisted to help out this small town with this missing girl, and she finds out that there's something much more than just a simple missing girl case. And yeah, this book just sounds really interesting to me. And again, like I've said, I've heard amazing things about this book, so I am very excited for it. The next book that I got is The Locksmith's Daughter by Karen Brooks. This is a historical fiction, and it basically goes into the story of Queen Elizabeth's ruthless spymaster and his talented and daring protege. So this book follows a woman called Mallory Bright, who is the only daughter of London's most ingenious locksmith, and she has a talent for locks, codes, spycraft, and intrigue, and she ends up being employed by Queen Elizabeth's spymaster. And then one day something happens and Mallory is now forced to choose between her country and her heart. And honestly, this book just sounds really interesting to me. So the next book that I got is one that I'm extremely excited for because I read her latest book, absolutely loved it, and I heard that her previous novel was even more amazing, so I was like, how can it be even more amazing than this book? And this book is called Uprooted by Naomi Novik. So the latest book that I did read from her is Spinning Silver. I did a book review on it already, so I'll link it above in case you want to check that out. But I love that book. I gave it a 5 stars. All I know about this book though is that it is about Polish folklores. Other than that, not really too sure, but I know there's dragons involved and it's supposed to be much better than Spinning Silver, which I loved. So I am really excited for this one. The next book that I got honestly literally needs no introduction because I'm pretty sure everyone in the world knows about this book, and it is called Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I got this again from the Barnes & Noble deal. I was so excited to see this because I honestly think I need to pick this up soon. I love the series, the HBO series, and I think that it is high time for me to actually read the books because everyone who I've talked to who loved the series always ask me if I've read the books because they say it's so much better. So I am going to do that now. The last 2 books that I got for the month of October is part of a series called The Nevernight Chronicles by Jay Kristoff. I got books 1 and book 2. Honestly, I've been eyeing these 2 books ever since I saw a booktuber raving about them, and I was like, yes, they sound amazing. It is another epic fantasy trilogy, and there are assassins in there, and that just sounds so interesting to me. Honestly, I don't know, I think all my books right now are fantasy, epic fantasy, and they all have something to do with dragons or assassins or magic or fairies, etc. And honestly, I'm okay with that. So other than that, I really don't know too much of this book, but because I tend to love these type of books, I am very much on board with these. So anyways, that's all. Those are all the books I received in the month of October, either from purchases or publishers or giveaways, whatever. Those are all the books I received. I already have a number of books I received for November, not to the extent that I've gone for the past few months though. So hopefully for the month of November, I don't have to do 2 parts of a book haul video because that is just so exhaustive on my end. I'm sure it's well on your end as well. So anyways, that's all I have to say for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you have read any of the books that I picked up this month. If you want to read any of the books I picked up this month, let me know on the comments down below. But as always, if you like this video, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you. Bye.